How's everyone this morning? Good. I'm told that all the jurors are here, right?
Yes, sir.
Do we have anything before we get started?
Oh, just one matter, Judge. Mr. Carey, Joseph Carey, has decided he does want to come and see some of the trial.
He's welcome to.
So he's just so you know, he's seated back there. He's present. And I know the defense is already, they know that and they don't have to come with that.
Okay, yeah, no, that's his right to be here, and he's welcome. Anything from the defense before we get started?
Judge, we have spoken in regards to an exhibit that Ms. Deary is going to introduce today, with the same caveat that we're going to have no objection to the introduction, and it's going to be tied in
Later
on. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So just we're going to try and move our evidence part of it through a little bit today quicker.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, we've been in discussion about that. We're going to try and move this as fast as
I
possible.
appreciate all the professionalism. So you all are, both sides, doing a great job, and I appreciate it. Are we ready to bring the jury in?
Yes.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. And let the record reflect Ms. Nachtman is present. Good morning and welcome. I plan to take only an hour lunch today since we're going to break at 3:30.
That's great.
Thank you, Judge.
So, we'll see where we're at, but 12, 12:15, 12:30 probably at the latest.
Okay.
We'll take a morning break, 10:30,
And then no afternoon break?
11, no.
Great. Thank you, Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Judge, ready?
Ready?
All rise for the jury.
Jury is present and seated. Everyone else may be seated at this time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning and welcome back. The good news is that it wasn't raining on the way in this morning. I did see some clouds out there, so I don't know how it will be when we get out of here today. But consistent with what I told you yesterday, the plan is to break no later than 3:30 today. We will take a morning break. We will take our lunch break. I'm probably just going to give you an hour lunch break today since we're getting out early. So we're going to pick up where we left off, and I'm going to ask the state to call their next witness.
Todd Buettner?
Buettner?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Buettner, good morning and welcome. You'll come forward to be sworn wherever you're comfortable after you come across that. If you'll face me and raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you'll follow the bailiff around to the ramp that leads up to the witness chair, please watch your step. When you get to the chair, go ahead and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. That microphone does adjust.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Todd James Buettner, last name spelled Buettner.
Thank you. Where do you work?
Public supermarkets.
And in what position do you work for public?
I'm a customer service manager.
Okay. And were you working in that same position in August of 2015?
Yes.
At what store?
Store 1170, Ehrlich and Turner.
Okay. I want to turn your attention back to August of 2015. Do you recall, and I guess I should say, at several points in your career as a manager for Publix, are you often contacted by law enforcement in an attempt to retrieve surveillance video from your store?
Yes.
Do you recall such an occasion like that at some point in August of 2015?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And whatever law enforcement was coming to you about at that time to gain the video, did you have any knowledge of the background of the case or any reason why they needed the video?
No, not that time.
Okay. And is that pretty common that they'll just come to you sometimes for video, but you may not necessarily know why they need it?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with the surveillance cameras and the video footage in your store?
Yes.
How many cameras are in that public store?
We have 3 VCRs running. There's 13 on the first 2, so 26 plus 8. So we're talking at least 34, somewhere around there.
34 total cameras.
I believe so.
Located in all different positions throughout the store?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
Could he put his microphones closer to me?
Yes, and let me make sure that it's on. Is there green light? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So you said approximately 34 total cameras in all different positions?
There might be a few more, but yes.
Okay. And as a manager, do you have access to the video camera system?
Yes.
Are you familiar with how it works?
Yes.
Is it recording 24 hours a day or at all times when the store is open?
It's recorded from movement. So anytime there's a sensor activated, it records.
Okay. Is it recording in real time?
Yes.
The time that is displayed on those cameras or that would be displayed on a video, is that time accurate?
Very close.
Okay. When you say very close, what do you mean? Maybe a minute or two?
Yeah, a minute or two.
Okay. As the manager at Publix, have you had prior occasions where you've had to personally retrieve that video off of that system?
Yes.
Turn it over to law enforcement, perhaps?
Yes.
Or I guess upper management. Okay. Are you familiar with the background of the system as far as how it was installed in the stores?
I've seen them work on it, but besides the wiring and all that, no. But yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to stop it, save it, record video, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. Can that video footage be altered?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I can approach.
Mr. Buettner, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 29 for identification purposes. Do you recognize this disc?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
I just viewed with you a few minutes ago, and I saw the still shots and the videos.
Your initials and your date on this disc, do those indicate that this is in fact the video that you've previously viewed?
Yes.
Okay. And is this video a fair and accurate depiction of the event that you downloaded for law enforcement on August 20th of 2015 at your public store?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd ask to move to evidence State's Exhibit 29.
No objection at this time, subject to the previous discussion we had, Judge.
All right, it'll be admitted at this time.
And I'd ask for permission to publish.
You may publish.
Mr. Buettner, while that video is loading, I'm going to show you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 71A through D for identification purposes. Do you recognize these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And do these appear to be the still shots or screenshots from the video in State's Exhibit 29?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Your Honor, without objection, I'd ask to move to evidence State's Exhibit 71A through D.
That's correct, Judge.
They'll be admitted.
Mr. Buettner, the video that we're watching here that you see before you in the top left corner, it says entrance. Do you see that?
Yes.
And at the bottom, it appears to be a date of August the 18th of 2015. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And the time, 1954, would that be approximately 7:54 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Does that all appear to be accurate as you recall the camera system working on that date and time?
Yes.
Mr. Buettner, the individual that we see in this photograph on the right side of the screen, do you recall having any contact with that man?
No.
Okay. And on this camera angle, we see in the top left, Reg 1/2. Is that just an indication of a register camera?
Yes.
And the date and time, August 18th of 2015, 2016 hours, approximately 8:16 p.m. Does that appear to be accurate as you recall these cameras working on that date and time?
Yes.
Just permission to publish State's Exhibit 71A through D.
You may.
Mr. Buettner, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 71A. Does this appear to be a screenshot of that first camera view that we just watched at the entrance?
Yes.
And 71B, same closer image.
Yes.
71C
Yes.
and 71D.
Correct.
Thank you, Judge. Nothing further. I'll pass the witness.
Cross.
No questions, thank you, sir.
May this witness be excused by the state
Yes, sir.
and by the defense?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. You may be excused as a witness at this time. You're welcome. I'll ask the state to call your next witness.
Carla Perez, Detective Carla Perez.
Detective Perez. Corporal Perez, welcome.
Thank you.
Or Sergeant Perez.
That's okay.
Sorry. If you'll raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear affirm any testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Thank you, Sergeant. If you'll follow the bailiff around at the ramp that leads up to the witness chair. Go ahead and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. That microphone is adjustable.
Sorry, Judge.
Ms. Hart, you may proceed.
Can you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record?
Yes, ma'am. It's Sgt Carla Perez, Perez,
Thank you. And where are you employed?
Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been employed with the Sheriff's Office?
Approximately 19 years.
What was your position with the Sheriff's Office in August of 2015?
I was a detective in our CID division.
Okay. And at that time in August of 2015, did you have any opportunity to respond to any homicide that occurred on Fensbury Drive?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you asked to do some follow-up work by some of the lead detectives in that case?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what were you asked to do?
I was asked to research some transactions that were made earlier that day.
Okay. And what was the purpose of that? To locate or identify what?
The victim and his whereabouts that afternoon,
Okay.
that evening.
Specifically, were you asked to look for some video footage that may or may not exist capturing that individual?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know the person who you were trying to locate video of?
No, I did not.
What was his name?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, if I said the name Robert Deans, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that person at all?
No, ma'am.
And did you have any involvement in the investigation of his death directly?
No, I did not.
Okay. Where did you go to attempt to collect video of this individual?
I went to the Publix on Ehrlich Road, and I also went to, I believe it was a Chinese restaurant right next door in that same plaza. I also went to an auto parts store, and I believe that was it.
Okay, I'm going to show you some photographs that have already been entered into evidence. State's Exhibit 71A. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize that?
That's the Publix.
Okay, and is this a screenshot from that video that you personally went to obtain at that Publix on Ehrlich?
Yes, ma'am.
And just a couple other photographs, 71D. Is this also a screenshot that you recognize from obtaining that video?
Yes, ma'am.
While you were at the Publix that day, in addition to obtaining the video from the Publix, did you also get something else from them?
I believe I got the receipt for the transaction that was made.
Sergeant Perez, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 30 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you recognize that?
This is the receipt from the Publix.
Okay. Your Honor, without objection, I ask to move in evidence State's Exhibit 30.
Objection.
It'll be admitted.
Ask for permission to publish.
You may publish it.
All right, Detective, or Sergeant, sorry about that.
That's fine.
When you obtained this receipt from the Publix on that date, did you make note in your report of the date and time noted on the receipt?
Yes, ma'am.
Did that date and time also appear to coincide with the date and time from the video you obtained?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you recall the date to be?
The date was August 18th, 2015. The time was 2016 hours, which is 8:16 in the evening.
So you said that you went to the Publix, obtained this video and this receipt, and then I believe next you said you went to a China Walk next door?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to obtain any video from that location?
The owner was unable to give me a copy of the video, but I was able to view the video.
Okay. When you viewed that video, what did you observe?
I observed the victim walking into the China Walk and also placing an order.
The same individual that we just saw in State's Exhibit 71, the screenshots?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that individual alone in that video?
Yes, ma'am.
As he was in the Publix video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After the China Walk, I believe you said you went to an auto parts store?
Yes, I believe it was Pep Boys.
Okay. And were you able to obtain a video at that location?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you view that video?
I did.
And what did it depict?
Same thing, the victim walking into the store alone, making a transaction, and then leaving the store.
On that same date, August the 18th?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Rob?
No questions, thank you.
May this witness be excused by the state?
She may be by the defense judge.
She can be released by the state judge.
Okay, you may step down. You may be released as a witness at this time.
Thank you.
Ask the state to call your next witness.
Judge, if we could just have one brief moment.
Yes.
Judge, the state will call Wesley Zackery at this time.
Wesley Zackery. Mr. Zackery, good morning and welcome, sir. You'll come forward to be sworn wherever you're comfortable. If you'll face me and raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If you'll follow the bailiff around to the ramp that leads up to the witness chair, please watch your step. When you get to the chair, go ahead and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. If you have any stuff you need to take out and unpack, you can do that, and let me know when you're ready. Then I'll allow the attorney's opportunity to ask you some questions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Yes, Wesley Zackery Jr., last name spelled Zackery.
Thank you. Are you employed?
Yes, I'm employed with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Identification Section Latent Print Unit.
Okay. And what is your position with the Sheriff's Office?
I'm a forensic print analyst.
How long have you been employed as a forensic print analyst?
6 years, over 6 years.
Okay. And is that 6 years just with the Sheriff's Office?
Yes.
Tell us about your prior employment in that field.
I've been with the Tallahassee Police Department as an identification technician where I process crime scene for the purpose of identifying latent prints and compare those prints. 2 years with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office prior to my term now. 11 years with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement here in Tampa Bay as a crime laboratory analyst where I worked in the latent print section, developing latent prints, on evidence, and then comparing those latent prints.
So in total, how long have you been conducting analysis and examinations of latent fingerprints?
Over 25 years.
Tell us about your background and training in that area to qualify you as a latent print analyst.
I attended the Florida Department of Law Enforcement Science of Fingerprint course, the FBI Basic Latent Print Identification course, the International Association for Identification Administrative Advanced Latent Print Identification course, an advanced latent print course offered by the Ocala Police Department and Mr. Gary W. Jones, a palm print identification symposium offered by Mr. Ron Smith in association with the International Association for Identification. I've attended numerous educational conferences with the International Association for Identification and the Florida Division of the International Association for Identification, where I once served as the District 2 Director.
As a part of your job as a latent print analyst, are you also required to stay up to date on continuing education in the field?
Yes, I am.
And are you current with that?
Yes.
Do you also stay up to date as new technology or advancements are made in the field?
Yes.
Tell us, as a fingerprint analyst, a latent print analyst, what are your day-to-day duties and responsibilities?
I compare latent and ink prints of comparison value to known individuals, known impressions for the purpose of identification or exclusion, and then I issue a report to my findings.
Okay. Judge, I would ask if the defense has any questions in this area before I proceed.
I do not.
All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Zackery, I want to turn your attention back to August of 2015. Were you employed in the same capacity as a latent print analyst that you described for us here today at that time?
Yes, I was.
Did you have an opportunity to become involved in a case involving a subject known as Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you ever respond to any actual scene in this case?
No, I did not.
Where did your work in this case take place?
in my office at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office identification section.
Did you obtain prints in this case to compare to what you would later obtain as known prints?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any involvement with crime scene technicians at the actual scene who are responsible for trying to lift latent prints?
Not in this case, I have not.
Okay. And in this case, did you have any role in telling them where to lift prints from or being involved in what locations they were lifting them from during the actual investigation?
No.
If you could, tell us what is the difference between latent prints and known prints?
A latent print is a chance or unintentional impression of the friction-rich skin on the bottom of your hand and feet that are transferred to a surface when it comes in contact. It is usually invisible to the naked eye. Will require some type of forensic powder, dye stain, or alternate light source to make it visible. A known impression is the actual recording of your fingerprint friction-rich skin by either covering it with ink or applying it on some type of digital platform as a live scan for the purpose of identification.
Okay. Were you given latent prints in this case?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So you've indicated the latent print is sort of something that could be left by chance, I believe is the words that you used. Does that mean that every time we touch a surface, we're leaving behind latent prints?
There are several factors that could preclude you from leaving latent prints, such as the weather condition outside might be too hot, you might be perspiring too much, which will leave a black blob or a dark spot. You're not perspiring enough to leave any of the moisture that's on your hands onto that surface. It might be raining. Latent prints are fragile. It could be wiped away. It might be cold outside, so you may have some type of covering over your hands that could deter the depositing of that latent print on the surface. So there's a 50-50 chance that a latent print could be present on the surface.
Is it also accurate to say that sometimes when we touch something, we may leave behind what could be a print, but that it's not of a sufficient quality to be compared to anything?
Yes.
The latent prints that you received in this case, if you could, tell us what crime scene investigators collected those latent prints and from what locations?
I could refer to my notes, Your Honor.
To refresh your recollection, you may.
Thank you. I received prints from crime scene investigator Shelby Garman, crime scene investigator Matthew Evans, crime scene investigator Brendan Douglas, crime scene investigator Jennifer Norman.
And were all of those prints that you received taken from locations inside of a home or on the exterior of that home?
Yes.
How did those latent prints come to you? In what form?
They were brought over by either the crime scene investigator themselves or one of their individuals from that section.
But how were those prints actually given to you? On a paper, on items of evidence? Explain that.
Yes, they were all latent lift cards except for one. One was a digital photograph.
Okay. Do you recall what that digital photograph was of?
Yes, it was of a latent print that was on a wall.
Okay. So a digital photograph of a print as well as latent lift cards, are those both common ways for you to receive potential latent prints?
Yes.
The locations from where those prints were collected within that home, did you have any personal knowledge of that, or do you just rely on whatever is written on the cards that they give you?
Just what is documented on the back of the cards.
Okay. And in this case, did you personally obtain known prints from Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, I did.
Mr. Zackery, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 65 for identification. If you could take a look at those items and let me know if you recognize them.
Yes, I do.
Okay, how do you recognize them?
It has my name on it and my ABN number, which is given to me by the Sheriff's Department, 4791, and the date that I recorded the prints, which would have been January 15, 2019.
Okay, and what do those appear to be to you?
These are the known impressions that I recorded of Ms. Nicole Nachtman.
Okay, and on what date did you record those prints?
January 15, 2019.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the State would ask to move into evidence State's Exhibit 65.
No objection?
No, sir.
There'll be a debate.
Mr. Zackery, do you see the individual in court today who you lifted these prints from in State's Exhibit 65?
Yes, I do.
You could point to her and identify an article of clothing that she's wearing.
It is the young lady at the table with the glasses on and a teal sweater.
Your Honor, may the record reflect he's identified the defendant.
The record shall so reflect.
So would these that we have in State's Exhibit 65, would these then be referred to as the known prints of Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, they would.
And you indicated that you personally collected these prints from her on January 15th of 2019.
That is correct.
Okay. And we see prints here on the front and the back, and then also a second page, left hand, front and back of the entire hand, and then it also appears that we see individual prints. Is that correct?
Yes.
Using these known prints in State's Exhibit 65, did you then compare them to latent prints that you received in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, Mr. Zackery, I'm going to give you 3 items, and I'm going to take them one at a time. We could start with State's Exhibit number 32. Can you look at that item and tell me what it is?
It is a digital image of a latent print.
Okay. And does that appear to be the, you referenced a digital image of a latent print that you obtained from crime scene investigator Garmin in this case? Is that what that appears to be?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you recognize markings on it that indicate that that is in fact latent print that you analyzed in this case?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll come back to that one. Go ahead and take a look at State's Exhibit number 33. And what do those latent prints appear to be?
These are latent prints of palm prints.
Okay, collected by which crime scene investigator?
These were collected by crime scene investigator Jennifer Norman.
Okay, and are there markings on those that indicate that you have also analyzed those?
Yes.
Okay, you can put those back and look at State's Exhibit 34 for me. Do you recognize what's in State's Exhibit 34?
Yes, I do.
What do those appear to be?
It's a latent print of a palm.
Okay, collected by which crime scene investigator?
Crime scene investigator Brendan Douglas.
Okay, and do you see markings on that that indicate that you have also received that item?
Yes.
Okay. Put them all back to me now. All right, Mr. Zackery, I'm going to start with State's Exhibit number 32. You indicated that this was a digital photo of a latent scan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, collected by crime scene investigator Garmin.
That is correct.
And at the top, we see hallway near southwest BR bedroom, it appears. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. On this item, do you see markings? Where are the markings you see that indicate that you worked on it?
It would be the O with the slash through it, number 6, Nicole Jean Nachtman, a number of 2015-CF-012204, taken on January 15, 2019 by myself, my ABN number, and then the date that I did the comparison, which would be January 16, 2019.
Okay. And when you say did the comparison, did you compare this print in State's Exhibit 32 to the known prints that you've already identified in State's Exhibit 65?
Yes, I did.
And in doing that comparison, did you follow all of the training and procedure that you've previously described for us?
Yes, I used the ACE protocol, which is analyze, compare, and evaluate.
Okay, and what were the results of that comparison?
Judge, can we approach?
You may.
Mr. Zackery, prior to you in answering that last question, if you could tell us, in States Exhibit 32, what, and if I need to put up an item from state, let me do it this way. States Exhibit 32, could you identify what finger or what digit that was?
Yes,
And what was it?
that would be the number 6 or the left thumb.
6 of the left thumb.
Number 6 finger or the left thumb.
I'm going to put up States Exhibit 65, a portion of that. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Is that capturing the left thumb?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So in States Exhibit 32 and States Exhibit 65 that we see here, if you could tell us what similarities or characteristics you noticed about these two prints.
What I did is I first analyzed the print to see if it was of value for comparison. Once I determined that it was of value for comparison, I did a side-by-side of the known print, which is in State Exhibit number 65, to the latent print, which is State number 32. I was looking for individual characteristics within the latent print to the known print. Those characteristics would have to be such things as what we call friction ridges, or Galton details, Indian ridges, which is a single ridge that comes into a pattern and then abruptly stops. A bifurcation, which is one ridge that comes into a pattern, split off into two separate ridges, and then continue out through the pattern. A dot that looks just like a period. A short ridge starts at one section of the pattern, travels a short distance, and then stop. And then an enclosure, which is a bifurcation that breaks apart, travels a short distance, and then reconnects and continues to flow. I would look for those individual characteristics in both the latent print and the known print. They must share the same spatial relationship, unit relationship, which means they must have the same number of ridges between them, be in the same local area, and have no unexplainable discrepancies present, which means that a ridge is present in one that is not present in the other. Once I come to the conclusion that I did my side-by-side comparison, and I found those similarities in both the latent print and the imprint, I then came to the conclusion that they were from the same, made by the same source.
Okay. The things that you've talked about, the bifurcations, the dots, the different characteristics, are those things that you've all been trained on through your training as a latent print analyst?
Yes.
And are those all principles that are readily accepted in this scientific field?
Yes, it is.
So this time I would ask you, what were the results of your comparison of those two items?
Judge, if we can approach again, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Mr. Zackery, in States Exhibit 32 and 65, you've just described the various characteristics that you look for. If you could tell us specifically, in this print number, States Exhibit 32, what exact characteristics, points, dots, things that you just described, did you see when you compared 32 and 65?
I saw Indian ridges and bifurcations were most of the things that I saw in both the latent print and the known print.
Okay, in this specific item of evidence?
Yes.
And was it based on those two things that you saw that you reached your conclusion?
Once I determined that I did not see any unexplainable discrepancy, I came to the opinion that they came from the same source. They were made by the same source.
Okay. So it was your opinion that States Exhibit 65 was the source of the latent print in States 32?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm going to move on now to States Exhibit 33, which you described as latent print cards obtained by crime scene analyst Jennifer Norman, or crime scene investigator Jennifer Norman. Specifically, I'm going to show you the back of the print card that identifies her name, Miss Norman's name, and open bedroom window, southeast bedroom. Now, you've already indicated to us that you were not present when these prints were lifted, correct?
That is correct.
But you rely on whatever is written on these cards.
What is documented, yes.
Okay. So you indicated earlier that you saw markings on this that indicate that you made, or that indicate that you worked on these latent prints. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And specifically, of those markings that we see here, where do we see markings by you that indicate that you came to conclusions on this item of evidence?
It would be two places. The first is at the bottom of the card where you see a 0 with a slash, and then it has L palm. That stands for left palm. It has Nicole Jean Nachtman. It has a number 2015-CF-012204, taken on January 15, 2019 by myself, and the date that I did comparison. And then up to the upper right section of the card, it has the slash again through the 0, R palm, which stands for right palm, and it has Nicole Nachtman's name again with that same number, taken on January 15th by myself and compared on January 16, 2019.
Okay, so you've mentioned left palm and right palm. Did you then compare what we see in States Exhibit 32 to the known prints of or to the known left and right palm prints of Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and showing you the right palm here, are these your initials and markings down towards the bottom left?
Yes.
Okay, and the left palm, same thing?
Yes.
Okay, so in comparing these two items, what characteristics, similarities did you observe in reaching your ultimate conclusion in this case?
As far as with the left palm, I noticed creases also that are present that are underneath the thumb in what we would call the thenar area of the palm. The palm is sectioned off into 3 areas. The area underneath the fingers, which we call the interdigital, the area up under the thumb, which is called a thenar, and then the area up under the little finger, which is called the hypothenar. This first one was under the left palm. It has creases along with also those other characteristics that I stated earlier, as far as the inner ridges, bifurcations, dots, enclosures, or short ridge. And on the right palm, it would be the right thenar area up under the right little finger, which is a long-looking egg-shaped print. And once again, it has those same characteristics: the inner ridges, palm, inner ridges, bifurcations, dot, enclosures, and short ridges.
Based on those ridges, bifurcations, dots that you've just described, that you observed both in the known prints and what we see in States 33, what was your opinion as to these two items of evidence?
That they were made by the same source.
That being Nicole Nachtman, based on the known prints you have of her?
Yes.
Moving to States Exhibit 34. On the back of States 34, we see markings and a B. Douglas in the bottom left corner. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
An indication of a dresser in northwest master bedroom. On the other side of the card, tell us what markings you see that indicate that you worked on this item.
To the left, you will see, once again, the 0 through a slash, L for left palm, Nicole Jean Nachtman, 2015-CF-012204, taken on January 15, 2019 by myself, and compared on January 16, 2019.
Okay? And so again, we're talking about palms, the
Yes.
left and right palm that we saw in States Exhibit 65. What specific characteristics or similarities did you see in this latent print that you compared to States Exhibit 65, the palm prints?
As I stated before, this area right here would be what we call the hypothenar area, right up under the little finger. It will include a small portion of the interdigital area and then the lower portion of the large egg or the hypothenar area. It has those same inner ridges, bifurcations, dots, enclosures, and short ridges present in both the latent print and in the known print.
Okay? Based on those bifurcations, ridges that you've described, did you reach an opinion as to States Exhibit 34 and 65?
Yes, they came from the same source, once again.
Okay? And again, that source being Nicole Nachtman based on the known prints you collected of her.
That is correct.
Showing you another latent print in States Exhibit 34. Again, looking at the back of a card, we see Brandon Douglas, master bedroom of dresser, top left drawer. In the front of that item, do you see markings that indicate that you also made comparisons on this latent print?
Yes.
Okay, and tell us about what you see that indicates that.
To the lower left, it has the 0 with a slash, number 6, which stands for the left thumb. The name of Nicole Jean Nachtman, 2015-CF-012204, taken on January 15, 2019 by myself and compared on January 16, 2019.
And so the number 6, are you indicating the number 6 finger?
Yes, the number 6 finger or the left thumb.
What similarities and characteristics did you see between the known prints and this latent print that you utilized in reaching your conclusion?
Once again, I noticed the ending ridges and bifurcations, dots in this case, and also the formation or the pattern type, which will be a loop.
Okay, and what opinion did you reach based on that?
I came to the conclusion that they were made by the same source, Ms. Nicole Nachtman.
Okay. I'm going to show you another latent print card from State's Exhibit 34, lifted by, we see CSI Brandon Douglas, top drawer, second column from left of dresser in northwest bedroom. Do you see markings on this item that indicate that you also made comparisons or analysis of this latent print?
Yes.
And tell us about what you see.
And once again, we have the zero with the slash is a known standard we use in the latent print discipline. Left palm, it has Nicole Jean Nachtman, 2015-CF-012204, taken on January 15th by myself and compared on January 16th, 2019.
Okay, and so again, we're talking about the left palm that we previously saw in State 65. What similarities or characteristics did you observe in reaching your conclusion as to these two items?
That it came from the left palm, almost the center area of the palm from Ms. Nicole Nachtman. It came from the same source. I noticed those inner ridges and bifurcations.
Okay, and based on that, what was your conclusion?
They came from the same source of Ms. Nicole Nachtman.
Based on the known prints you had in State 65?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Zackery. Nothing further. I'll pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Yes, thank you, Judge. Morning, Mr. Zackery.
Good morning, ma'am.
Now, you wrote a report in this case, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And in your report, you have identified the latent prints, which you just testified to, that you matched to Ms. Nachtman, is that correct?
Yes.
And you actually also list, and you've discussed today, where the prints were lifted from.
Which was documented on the back of the cards, yes.
And Ms. Derry had asked you earlier, those are not cards that you create or prints that you lift from a scene.
No, they are not.
You're relying on what a crime scene technician does at a crime scene, who then submits these latent print cards to you to examine later.
Yes.
Now, in your report, you did not list the prints that you examined but found to be of no comparison value. Is that correct?
No, not in my second report.
Okay. And just so we're clear, these were not all the prints you were given. You were given many more.
Yes,
Some were of no comparison value,
that is correct.
and some you were able to match to other known prints you had been provided in this case.
Yes.
Now, as far as the 3 sets of known prints you were given, Ms. Nachtman, you indicated, was one.
Yes.
You were also given the known prints for Miriam Deans
Yes, that's correct.
and the known prints from Robert Deans.
Yes.
Now, when you were given these 3 sets of known prints, you were not aware that these 3 people were actually residents of that home. Is that correct?
That is correct. No.
And you'd agree, as a print examiner, obviously, if 3 people live in a home, it's going to be it's not going to be uncommon for those residents or the people who occupy that home to leave prints throughout the house if they live there.
That is correct.
Now, as far as the total prints you were given from the scene, do you have all the prints with you?
No, I do not.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you were given, if you remember, 13 lifts from Brandon Douglas?
I would have to see the lift card or the lift envelope itself to determine that. I'm
Okay.
sorry, I don't have that information.
But it was many more than what you have today in court, as you said a moment ago.
Yes.
In fact, you listed out, I believe it was 4 different crime scene technicians who submitted latent print cards for you to examine.
That is correct.
And the ones you've testified today are the ones that were of comparison value and that you indicated were made by Nicole Nachtman.
That is correct.
Now, when we say something's not of comparison value, it basically means when you look at the print that the crime scene investigator lifts from a scene, there isn't enough rich detail for you to make any sort of comparison.
There's not enough information to be compared. That is correct, yes.
Now, as far as your formal education, you completed high school, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
no degrees or college or any special training after that, other than what you talked about through your employment history?
Yes.
Are you certified with the International Association for Identification for Fingerprint Examiners?
No, I'm not.
Now, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Fingerprint Division, do they currently hold an independent certification from an accreditation board?
Not for latent prints, no.
And that's basically like a certification by an accreditation board, for example, like the Florida Department of Law Enforcement has, where an outside board kind of reviews procedures, makes sure that everything's kind of up and coming with the technology and with the advancements of science in your field. Is that correct?
Mostly it would be for the documentation so that the evidence or the progress that you're doing in your lab could be documented and shown that you are following your documented procedures or the guidelines that the agency or the accreditation body is suggesting.
And the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office does not hold such a certification. You're a latent print examining unit, correct?
Only one if they are up on the CALIA, but there are other ones.
Now, as far as the identifications you made in this case, it's fair to say your ability to analyze a print is largely based on the quality or how the crime scene technician lifts the print from the scene, correct?
It would basically be on the quality of the print and also on the known standards themselves, yes.
And in fact, you testified already that several of the prints...
That's correct, yes.
Again, the lighting, the quality of the photograph, all of those things come into play when you're examining a print that is produced in a photograph.
Yes.
Now, you identified prints in this case to Miriam Deans, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You have your report in front of you?
Yes, I do.
If you need to refresh your memory, let me know. You were able to identify prints belonging to Miriam Deans from a top left drawer in the northwest master bedroom of a dresser.
Yes, I did.
Again, the same master bedroom that we see documented in some of the print cards you testified to that you said belonged to Nicole Nachtman.
That's correct.
You also identified a print belonging to Miriam Deans from a Clorox wipe container under the kitchen sink.
That is correct.
Again, not odd if these people live in a home that their prints are going to be on these various items.
That is correct.
Now, when you were given the print that CSI Garmin took the photograph of and submitted to you, you're again examining this latent print, and again it was identified as the photograph of a print from the hallway. Is that how it was documented?
Yes.
As far as its location?
That's correct, yes.
And you're actually examining, are you using a microscope, a magnifying glass? What are you using when you're looking at that photograph or that depiction of this print in the hallway?
I'm using what is called a forensic glass. It can either be 4, 6, 8 times magnification.
So it's magnified.
That's correct.
And it's fair to say you did not observe any blood or any foreign substance on that print when you examined it under your magnifying glass. Is that correct?
I just had a digital photograph.
Okay, but you did not, when you're examining it within the digital photograph, didn't see any evidence of blood or any foreign substances in that print when you looked at it?
I did not have that information, so no.
You did not see it?
I did not. I can't say that I saw blood or anything like that. I don't think I'll say is that I had a digital photograph.
Mr. Zackery, do you remember giving a deposition in this case?
Yes.
Back in July of 2017?
Yes.
And I believe I was there asking you questions, or in fact, it was actually Ms. Holt. Do you remember Ms. Holt asking you questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And we were asking you questions specifically about that print that CSI Garmin took the photograph in the hallway.
Yes.
If I show you that deposition transcript, will it refresh your memory as to whether you were able to see blood or a foreign substance in that print when you examined it?
If I can see it, yes.
Okay. Judge, if I can approach the witness? A foreign substance when you examined that print by CSI Garmin?
Yes, ma'am. And I said no, that I could not.
You could not observe any blood or foreign substance?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, there was also another print, and it was a print, again, lifted by CSI Garmin from the kitchen counter behind the couch. Do you recall examining that print?
Yes, I did.
And in fact, you compared that print to, again, the 3 known sets of known prints you were given. Nicole Nachtman's prints, Miriam Deans' prints, and Robert Deans' prints.
Yes.
And that print, you were able to exclude all 3 of those people as having been the source of that print.
That is correct.
So one of the prints in this case, we don't know who it belongs to as we sit here today.
That is correct, yes.
If I can have a moment, Judge?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Mr. Zackery.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused by the state
Yes, sir.
and by the defense.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lear, good morning and welcome. You'll come forward to be sworn wherever you're comfortable. If you'll face me and raise your right hand, please. Thank you. Do you swear affirm any testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you. If you'll follow the bailiff around to the ramp that leads up to the witness chair, please watch your step. When you get to the chair, go ahead and have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. That microphone does adjust if necessary.
Okay.
You may proceed.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Sir, if you could please state your name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
David Lair, L-E-H-R.
And where do you live, Mr. Lair?
I just moved to Zephyr Hills, Florida. I used to live in Carrollwood.
And back in 2015, where did you live?
In Carrollwood.
What's the address? And what do you do currently for a living?
I work at Greenco Manufacturing. I build pneumatic cylinders. I've been there since 2003, and going on 17 years now.
So back in 2015, you said you lived on Country Brook Street?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 67. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a map of Carrollwood, I guess, and my house and Miriam's house.
Okay, and so your house is depicted on that map?
Yes. At
Okay,
the top.
which one is it?
The one at the top, and the one at the bottom is Miriam's house.
And does this picture fairly and accurately depict what the roads and everything looks like in this area?
Yes, it is.
Judge Boone, State's Exhibit 67 admitted evidence.
No objection? It'd be admitted.
All right, so I'm going to point at the map up here. So this would be where your home was
Yes.
located back in 2015?
Yes, correct.
And down here, you identified that as being the residence of Nicole and Miriam?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, Mr. Lair, do you know the defendant, Nicole Nachtman?
Yes.
How do you know her?
She's my cousin.
Explain how she's your cousin, what the family relation is.
Her mom is my dad's brother, which makes her my aunt on my dad's side.
What's your dad's name?
Pete Lair.
Okay. Would you say, in the course of growing up as cousins, that you and Nicole Nachtman were close?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Would you see her frequently?
Yes.
If she was in town, say from school, would she come visit, or would you go visit her?
Yes, both.
Did you know Bob Deans, her stepdad?
Yes.
And how well did you know him?
I've known him since he was married to her, I guess, and I knew her, obviously through my aunt, and I would hang out with him that year, like frequently. I would help him with, I go over there, watch movies, we'd have barbecues, or I'd help him with. He was older, so I helped him with house chores, remodifications, stuff like that.
How often would you say you would go by the house to visit and to work and help him?
Him specifically, just whenever, but I went over there a couple times a month, I guess, 2 or 3 times a month.
2 or 3 times a month?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with his appearance, what he looks like?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibits. 71A through D. Ask you to take a look at that.
Okay.
Do you recognize the person in those photos?
Yes.
And who is this person?
It's Robert Dean.
And have you previously viewed a video from a Publix that you identified this individual?
Yes. Yes.
Now, back in August of 2015, were you still working at the same place you're working now?
Yes.
And during that summer of 2015, would you see Mrs. Nachtman from time to time?
Yes.
Okay, approximately how many times, say, in a week would you see Miss Nachtman? Or if you'd see her, or in a month, for that matter?
Like I said, 2 or 3 times a month, I guess. If she was at school, obviously I wouldn't see her. I know that she went out of town earlier that year, so. But when she was in town, she came by.
Okay. The week of the murders, were you in contact with Nicole Nachtman at any time during that time?
Yes, I was.
When was the last, or when during that week do you recall being in contact with her?
The Friday before, I went to their house.
Okay.
And also the last time I saw her was on a Wednesday, the week of the murders.
Okay, well, let's go back to the Friday before then, since you mentioned that. Who all was present when you were there that Friday?
Bob, Valley, and Nikki, all 3 of them.
Okay, and you say Valley. Who's Valley?
I'm Miriam.
Right, is that the nickname that the family gives to her?
Yeah.
All right.
That's her middle name. Yes.
That's what?
Her middle name is Valencia, so they call her Valley, and that's why I called her forever.
Okay. So all 3 were present when you were there on that Friday?
Yes.
Did you observe while you were there that Friday any sort of fighting, consternation, anything that gave you concern?
No, there wasn't any actually.
Did everyone seem to be getting along and everything was fine?
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
How long were you there that Friday?
Probably a little over an hour, I guess.
Now you said the next time you saw her that week was on a Wednesday. What were the circumstances about that?
I was at work, and I guess sometime in the morning she had called me. So I was too busy to get the phone. So after the call was over, I texted her, and I told her that I'm at work, that I'm busy. What's going on. And then she texted me. She wanted to know if she could talk to me or whatever. And then I said, okay. I said, how about after work? And she said, fine. And that was it.
Okay. So what time did you get off work that day?
I imagine 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. Or 2:30, somewhere in there.
2 or 2:30?
Yeah.
And did you head straight home?
Yes, I did.
All right. About approximately what time did you get home? Do you remember?
I think it was around 3 that day.
Okay. And did you call Nicole Nachtman back?
I totally forgot to call her back.
Okay.
It slipped my mind. So as I was coming home, I was pulling into the driveway. The phone rang. It was her, and then I remembered that she texted me. So then I answered the phone.
Okay.
She just asked me what I was doing, if she can come by, and I kind of asked her. Yeah, I said, yeah, it's fine. What's going on? And then she asked me. She told me something about if she could borrow money for her dorm room. So I had money on me.
Did she tell you how much she needed?
$100.
And you had that with you?
Yeah, I just happened to have it on me. So.
Okay. So what did you tell her then?
I told her, I said, yeah, come on by. She said she was going to come right away, so I said, okay, I'll wait in the driveway.
Right, so you never even went in your house then?
No, at that time, no.
Right. And did she show up shortly after talking to you?
She did. Like immediately, like probably about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. And after she showed up, and how does she seem?
Just normal. Her regular demeanor.
Regular demeanor?
Yeah.
All right. Did she seem upset, crying, anything like that?
No. I just knew that she needed to borrow the money, so she showed up. She gave me a hug, and I said, she said she needed the money. I gave it to her. I made a joke because there was a state trooper parked next to the house. He watches over students coming off the buses and stuff like that. So I made a joke that I'm like, I gave her $100. It looks like a drug deal or something. Like it's just suspicious, whatever. So she said thanks. we talked about she's going back to school. So then I asked her when she's coming back, probably around Thanksgiving. And I said, okay, basically I'll see you around Thanksgiving. And she said, okay. Gave me a hug, and she got back in the car and left.
Okay. Did she tell you when she was going back to school or heading up to Florida?
She said right away. She's going back, from my house, she's going back to school.
Okay. Do you recall what kind of car she drove at that time?
A red Prius.
Is that what car she showed up in when she came to borrow the money?
Yes.
About how long would you say you guys talked in that moment?
About 5 minutes, I guess. Pretty short.
And when she left, did she seem fine?
Yeah.
Was that the last time you saw Nicole Nachtman?
Yes, it was.
Did Ms. Nachtman ever talk to you about any issues or problems she was having with her mother?
No, not problems like that. Things like the money when she borrowed it, she didn't want to ask her mom, but and then normal things when she would come over, once in a while she would, I could tell that she didn't want to tell her mom stuff, but like every other kid, like you don't tell your parents everything, so things like that. It was to me it was no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you eventually hear that Miriam and Bob had been killed?
Friday, right before lunch, my cousin called me and gave me the news. I know it was like exactly 11:20 because I was just about to go to lunch. I was getting ready for lunch. My coworkers were actually calling me to come down, and I told them I can't go to lunch. I'm on the phone, and that's when I found out.
Okay.
So
and what did you do?
specific, yeah.
What did you do upon finding out that they had passed?
I left work and I went straight to the house, to Miriam's house.
And what did you see when you got there?
It was surrounded by media and police and sheriffs everywhere. The whole section was closed off.
All right. Did after you found out about the murders, did you ever talk to Nicole again?
I did, actually.
When did you talk to her?
Well, after I showed up at the house, the police, they asked me a bunch of questions. They started making it seem like...
Objection to hearsay?
Well, I'll caution the witness not to speculate or to testify to what somebody else told you unless specifically asked to. Go ahead and re-ask the question.
All right, so based on your conversations with the law enforcement officers, you felt you needed to contact Nicole?
They started asking me a lot of questions about Nicole.
Okay.
And I felt like she was a suspect, so I told them that, I tried to tell them no. I didn't believe that would be her. So, it's not her way at all. So, I kind of try to tell them, no, I know that's not what happened. Basically trying to eliminate her from being a suspect, whatever. So, but they just listened to me and they walked away. And then, I guess when I left, I went back. I called her brother, which is my cousin, Joseph Carey, and I told.
Okay, go ahead. Finish it.
I told him what just happened. And then after I hung up with him, I called Nikki, and I only spoke to her for a minute.
Okay, when you say Nikki, that's Nicole?
Nicole, yeah.
Okay.
Nicole.
And what was that conversation like when you called her?
With Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I told her, I said, my actual words to her were like, hey, Nikki, I said, I just got off the phone with your brother, and, he told me that you guys just had a conversation.
Objection to hearsay as to what the brother said.
I'll sustain. Don't tell us what somebody else said.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Go ahead. Wait, hold on. Just rephrase or re-ask.
I'll rephrase the question. So, without telling us what you told her specifically about what anyone else told you, what was the basis of the conversation?
Well, okay. So with all the information I had, I was worried about her. The police said they're actually looking.
Objection to hearsay.
Well, the police were looking for a gun.
no, hold on.
Yeah, don't tell you again. Don't say what anyone else told you, but
Okay.
just go on what was your belief? What were you trying to do at that time?
I was just trying to calm her down. I didn't want something to happen at her school.
Okay. And while you were talking with her, what did she say to you?
I told her that the sheriffs are showing up. They're going to come talk to her. They're going to bring her down. And she said they were already there. So since the sheriff's office was already there, I knew, I relaxed. That's fine.
All right. And so at that point, you all terminated the conversation.
Yeah.
Is that the last time you ever talked to her?
Yes.
You mentioned Joseph Carey. Are you friends with Joseph?
He's my cousin.
He's your cousin?
And yeah, we're close.
Would you say you all are close to?
Yeah.
You all talk a lot?
Yeah.
Get together when he's in town?
Yeah. Always.
Judge, if I may have 1 moment?
Absolutely.
Judge, we're good. We'll pass the witness.
All right, cross-examination.
Morning, Mr. Laird.
Hi. Good morning.
Just so we're clear, the family history, it's your father, Peter,
Yes.
who was Miriam Deans' brother,
Yes.
and there's 5 total kids
Yeah.
that belong to your grandmother, I guess.
Well, 6.
Six.
Five boys and 1 girl. Yeah.
6 total before Ms. Deans passed away.
Yes.
Now, you told us a little bit about your relationship with Ms. Deans,
Okay.
and I believe Mr. Terry just asked you about your relationship with Nicole's brother, Joey.
Yes.
You guys were more similar in age. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Growing up?
Yeah.
There's a pretty big age difference between you and Nicole, however.
Yes.
In fact, I think you all are
16, 17 years.
16 or 17 years apart.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the other family, your mom's siblings, you do not speak to your Uncle Eric, is that correct?
Yeah. Well, my dad's side.
Your dad's side.
Yeah. Not my mom's.
Eric Lear is your dad's brother,
Yes.
and you all do not speak?
For a while, yeah.
Okay. And then at one point, you lived with your grandmother, Miriam, and so you and Nicole share a grandmother,
Yes.
right? And her name is also Miriam.
Yes.
And she actually raised you for portions of your life, I think, till you were in 6th grade.
Yes.
However, you don't speak to her now either.
No.
Now, your father, Peter, was in the Navy,
Yes.
and he was actually discharged from the military because of some type of mental health diagnosis. Is that correct?
I think so. I'm not sure.
You also don't speak to your Uncle George?
Just
object to relevance at this point.
We can approach.
it's been a while, but for no reason, just no context.
And so George, just so we're clear again, because I know we said it a minute ago, but your brother Peter has siblings George, Eric, let me get them all,
Okay. And
Albert,
Yes.
and then there was Miriam who passed.
Yes.
And out of all of those uncles or aunts that you had, while you indicated you would go over to Miss Deans's home and help Bob around the house, you do not speak to 2 of those uncles, which is George and Eric.
Well.
Or haven't spoken to them in a long time.
Yeah, but George, actually, I just ran into George because I'm now living out in Zephyr Hills with my dad. He came to pick them up. They went out to breakfast, and I saw him briefly.
But you don't
But
do
no.
Thanksgivings and Christmases and
No.
holidays and things like
Oh,
that
no,
together.
no,
And then you don't speak to your grandmother.
no.
Now, you mentioned that you would see Nicole occasionally, at least after college when she was home.
Yes.
Okay. And we've already talked about how you all are about 17 years apart. So as far as age-wise, you and Joey were the 2 that were closer in age.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that you saw Nicole periodically, I guess, throughout her childhood.
Yes.
But I'm assuming it's fair to say you didn't see her when they lived in Virginia.
No. Oh, I did. I went out there a couple times.
Okay. But not regularly, like
No.
every weekend
No,
or
definitely.
holidays.
No.
if she was home on a vacation or if you happened to go up and visit, but you weren't seeing her regularly when she lived in Virginia.
No.
You weren't seeing her regularly when she lived in Texas.
No.
You weren't seeing her regularly when she was at the Air Academy or that boarding school that your aunt sent her to?
I would go out there for weekends when my aunt couldn't make it.
Okay.
My aunt would actually pay for the hotel room. That way Nikki could hang out with me and my family. And
At the Air Academy?
yeah.
Okay, how many times do you think you saw Nicole while she was at the Air Academy?
Probably 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
We got a hotel room.
And then she goes to FSU in about 2013.
Yeah.
So for the time period of when she began Florida State or college, you're seeing her if she happens to come down for the weekend or for a holiday.
Yeah.
But you're not seeing her every week or every day
No.
while she's in college, because Tallahassee's
Yeah.
4 hours away.
Right.
Okay. Now, you indicated the week of your aunt's death, Nicole contacted you while you were at work initially, and it was about noon
Yes.
on that Wednesday.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And then you were at work, so you had indicated through text or some method that you'd call her back later.
Yeah. Through text, I told her I'd call her back.
And then you forgot to.
Yes.
So then she called you again, and it was about 3 o'clock by the time you all speak again.
Yes.
And it was that she needed to borrow $100 for her dorm up in college.
Yes.
She had actually borrowed money from you one time before to fix a cell phone, so this wasn't super odd, correct?
Right.
She came to your house to get the money, correct?
Yes.
And she actually told you that she was supposed to sign up for her dorm room, but had forgotten or had, not done it and needed the money for the fee for the dorm, correct?
Yeah. There was something about not doing it in time, so it was a $100 fee and she didn't have the money on her.
And she appeared nervous about the dorm thing when she's talking to you about it, correct?
Yeah, a little nervous about, like she didn't want to, yeah, I guess she wanted to get everything settled and she didn't. She made a mistake and,
She was nervous about that.
Yeah.
And nervous was normal for Nicole, right?
Yes. When it comes to circumstances like that, yeah.
Now, when you were with her, you were only with her for about 5 minutes, you said.
Yes.
And then she left.
Yes.
So this wasn't a 30-minute conversation or interaction, correct?
No, it was real quick.
You've described your cousin as somebody who gets intimidated easily. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, she don't like conflict, so yeah.
Always tries to make everybody happy?
She does, yes.
Growing up, you don't remember your cousin having a lot of friends over or family parties or things like that where friends would come over, correct?
Not a lot of friends. She would have that, one friend, that she was talking about here and there, yeah.
Nobody, though, that you ever met or that came over for sleepovers or functions or anything that you ever saw?
Well, I used to give her a ride from school during her 8th grade year, and I saw that friend, and I actually gave that friend also a ride to her house.
Okay,
Times, yeah.
one time?
To the friend to her house one time, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've seen one friend one time that you gave a ride to in Nicole Nachtman's 21
Right.
years of life.
Yes.
Your cousin also was somebody who didn't want to disappoint her mom. Isn't that true?
Yes.
Can you have a moment?
Yes, you may.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, may this witness be excused by the state
Yes, it may.
and by the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. You may be excused as a witness at this time.
All right, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is 10:30, so we are going to take our morning break. We'll take a 15-minute break. We'll resume at 10:45. Please do not discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Please do not do any research related to the case, and please avoid any exposure to any reports about this case outside of the courtroom in the media or social media or any other form. All rise for the jury.
At their state attorney's office, contact them and let them know that the rules have been invoked. As important as that is, And so I'd ask that they be brought in individually and questioned about what conversations they've had, what they've watched on this live stream trial, because that could potentially be a problem.
Your response?
That's fine, Judge. And again, if anything changed from their deposition, I'm sure that will come out. None of these witnesses have any particular. But one of them just says, I mean, they're not very long witnesses and they don't have a lot of huge information. But sure, Judge, bring them in and let's ask them if it's going to change or affect their testimony. I have no problem with that.
I mean, I think at the very least we should inquire with Ms. Holt. Yeah, I'll allow you to be heard.
No, Judge, the rule's intended for a particular purpose.
I agree.
Has nothing to do with what a witness, who the witness is, what they may say, what they may not say, whether they may change their testimony. The reason for the rule is very clear, and so I do think that after we listen to what they have to say, the defense is going to have a motion.
All right, well, let's take our break. I need to give my court personnel a break. We'll come back in 15 minutes. We'll let the jury know that I don't know how long before we get back to them. We'll take it up in 15 minutes.